Welcome back, everyone, to the NFL Divisional Round
Here we go.
of Sportsfellas. We forgot to add that.
It's your boy, Tristan.
It's your Houday hopeful Rock Chalk J Hawkin, Captain Chris of the K.
Everett.
And this is your sitting down at home, Rocky Mountain High, watching the games at home. This is your host, Carlos. You guys, we are finally here. We are in the divisional round. We'll do a little bit of a recap of the games last week, and then we're going to break down the games that are coming out this week. So, before we dive in, let's take a quick pause and thank our following sponsors.
Hey guys, why don't you check out She Barber Cuts Barbershop and give Markeisha Brown, the licensed professional barber there, a call at 316-218-3566 for all your haircut needs. She's got cuts for kids, adults, and for those looking for the good one, the deluxe with beard trims, wash, and hot towels. So don't forget to give Markeisha a call at She Barber Cuts and see her at 2319 North Ridge, Barber Suite 6A here in Wichita, Kansas.
All right, we're going to kick it off first with the Buccaneers defeating the Philadelphia Eagles, sending them packing and sending Jason Kelce home as well. They will go ahead and pay a visit over to the Detroit Lions, who they defeated narrowly to the Los Angeles Rams. Tristan, I'm going to kick it off with you. Now that we saw those games came to be, what did you take out of those games?
Well, simple. Detroit's a force to be reckoned with, man. I really love to see where they've come from a couple years ago. Everybody was doubting their coach. Everybody was laughing at all the prep talks he'd give. They was like, bite their kneecaps off.
They were kind of crazy.
They were crazy, but he had emotion into it,
He did.
and he meant it every word. And guess what? He's fulfilled everything he said he would do. And I am so happy for Detroit. One thing is the Rams are also going to be a force to be reckoned with next season. They played a good game. It was very close. Came down in the last second. So, but Detroit, man, young, talented roster, and Jahmyr Gibbs is on up and coming. But they've been using Montgomery a lot. I like what he's doing in the backfield with them. And St. Brown also young, just so much young talent. And they, even if they don't win anything this year, they're going to be in the playoffs for years to come. I can see that coming. So,
Yeah, like Tristan said, Detroit is going to be just a big team to watch out for. I mean, we've seen it since the very beginning of the season, really. But on the other side with the Bucs, I still don't think the Eagles really got what they wanted, considering first off they lost, second I feel like their team has just been they've been on a losing streak, and their only win is against the Giants in the past weeks. I think the Buccaneers still got lucky against an injured Eagles team who is flying low.
Yeah, the Bucs are a pretty up and down team. Right now, the Lions are favored by almost a touchdown, 6.5 points. Personally, I would take that bet. I think the Lions are going to get a little bit more than that. The teams did meet up earlier this year, although it was a couple months ago, different weather, things like that. Of course, it's inside, so the weather's not going to matter. But this was in Tampa Bay, and the Lions beat them by 2 touchdowns. I don't think it's going to be quite that big, but I do think the Lions are going to continue. At this point, I would say the Bucs season, I think you could say, was a success. No one expected them to do anything.
oh yeah, with what they had.
Even though they didn't have the best record, I mean, they squeaked in, but anyone in the South was going to squeak in.
Wait, were we picking who we were going to think's winning? My bad.
Yeah, we're going to do that next.
Oh, sorry.
So, no, real quick. So, let me recap as well. What a great game that Detroit defensively did. Let's salute out to the defensive coordinators out there. Good job on putting the pressure on Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp was not as effective. Now, the one question I do have is are they going to be able to sustain in the air? Because right now, Baker Mayfield is playing consistent. He's utilizing his targets. He's playing great. And I have to admit it, Tristan, the Oklahoma product has come out guns blazing. So you got to give him
he was
credit.
first overall for a reason.
Yeah.
I think Cleveland gave up way too early on Baker, personally. He had an injury-riddled bad year,
Oh, yeah.
and they were like, see the door.
For a guy who they
Had a
millions,
Heisman,
millions.
First time to the playoffs, won a playoff game for him, and then they showed him the door because he got a little banged up one year. It was sad. So,
But indeed, but what a great coming home game for Matthew Stafford. I mean, he did what he could. It's just that at the end, I will say there was some questionable things on.
I think
the
Buka might have a little
Well,
argument about some
the
stuff.
referees, there were some calls that were not made, but we can't blame the refs because then they're going to say we're being biased. But now that we got that all squared away, now let's dive into the show here. Tristan, who are you taking, Buccaneers or Lions?
I think it's going to be a good game. Let me see. Listen, one thing I will say, I'm going to piggyback off you guys. Baker Mayfield, he's playing how we thought he was going to be playing in Cleveland. Like, he just got riddled with injuries. And I think it's hilarious that Cleveland gets knocked out the first round, gets completely embarrassed, and Baker Mayfield gets another win. He has 2 playoff wins. Cleveland has 1, and he was the one that gave Cleveland that 1 playoff win whenever he was playing with them, in the past since like 19-something. So I think that's hilarious. I think Baker Mayfield played a great game, bro. And this is going to be close. I'm going to choose the Bucks on this one. I'm rolling with the Bucks this week. Listen, I love Detroit. I love what they've done. But, man, they just defensively, they played phenomenally. And offensively, Baker's been hitting every single target he has. A couple dropped passes by Mike Evans, which you wouldn't expect. Like, he had a great game. I think he's going to keep the ball rolling, man. He's been playing phenomenal this year. I don't see why it would stop. So give me the Bucks. I think this is an upset. I'm pretty sure they got the Lions winning because they're at home. So give me the Bucks this week, man.
Yeah, I'm going to have to stick with the Lions. They're too good of a team, really, to say no to against an up-and-down Bucks team this whole season. I mean, the Lions, they've just... Jared Goff, Amon-Ra, Jahmyr Gibbs, they've all just been going off all season. Their other running back, Montgomery, he's been doing great. Their defense has been playing great. Aiden Hutchinson is doing amazing. I'm going to take the Lions.
This one is tough. The Bucks have put together a couple good runs throughout the year. And sorry, guys, I jumped to the gun. Almost got the pick. Thanks for saving me there, Tris. I think it's going to be 6.5 points. I think the Lions can pull it out. Yes, the Bucks could come up, but I think the Lions are playing with a little more fire right now. They feel like it's a little bit of a season of destiny, maybe. So I think that they're going to turn it up. And as they proved earlier this year, they are the better team when it came to playing the Bucks away. Although I think the Bucks have grown since then. I think the Lions are still a touchdown winner here.
Well, I mean, indeed, you guys, one of the key things that we could take is that Detroit has some advantages where Tampa Bay has struggled. Now, we know already that Tampa Bay's ranked 20th in points, allowed. So, I mean, you can score on this defense. Don't get me wrong. Their pass rush is great. It's not bad. But offensively, we know that they are peaking at the right time. So they're going to go into Detroit. Now, Detroit's the 12th man there is just great. That blue, that ocean blue. Who saw RoboCop there? I saw RoboCop. I'm not imagining.
He was there.
He was there. He was making people drop it. He was dropping
I think Stafford saw RoboCop.
Eminem was there. Everybody. Barry was there. Barry Sanders, Wichita's own.
Yes.
Everybody was there. And the thing is that if they can get over this hump here, they will be back in the NFC Championship. And it's not been there since 1991. So it's been a long time. And guess what? They're going back. But this time around, the way they're going to get there is not merely the run game, because I'm telling you right now, Tampa Bay is going to cover that. I think who's going to have their game, they're going to have lights out, is the tight end. They didn't use him a lot because he was still kind of a little bit injured. He's going to be a key factor. Also, St. Brown, this is it. I mean, their team is young. Jared Goff is going to tell these guys, hey, I've been there to the Super Bowl. I've been there. I know what's it take to get there, and I believe we can do it. So I'm taking Detroit. So we will see Detroit. But next up, we're going to kind of pay a visit over to Bill's Mafia. We're going to Buffalo, where they will host.
Wow. Chiefs Kingdom, baby.
Kansas City, current Super Bowl champions, the Chiefs. All right, you guys. Before we dive in on that, let's take a little quick recap. So we know already that Kansas City defeated the Miami Dolphins convincingly in the cold, where helmets broke, where the stash was popular again. Now it's maybe
The walrus.
The walrus. Yeah, I'm telling you, it was just amazing. But Driston, give us a little recap on the game.
I'll give you a recap. L'Jarius Sneed, bullying Tyreek Hill in submission, bro. Didn't do nothing. Tua Tagovailoa, can't throw in the cold. Don't know what he was doing. Defense in shambles because it was cold. You know, listen, it was embarrassing for the Dolphins, and I loved it. I loved every minute.
Yeah, this is a cold, wet, like the Chiefs coming off of a convincing victory last week in the cold, but flip it over, and Buffalo came with a pretty convincing win in the cold. These are two teams who have now, I would say Buffalo's more like ready for cold, but two teams who are for sure very ready for the cold.
The thing I saw in the Miami game, I didn't think Miami's defense was bad. It got bad as the game progressed because I think they were on the field too long. They held a lot of drives to field goals early in the game that could have put it away easily in the first quarter, really. If they had hit on their first 3 drives with a touchdown, it would have been done. So I think that the defense kind of held up, especially with playing a lot of backups. Chubb was the big one that they lost the week before that really hurt. So I thought they did pretty well defensively, Miami did. But you're right. Like, the offense was – where was it? I mean, you have one big play, that's it. A chain wasn't doing anything. The run wasn't going anywhere. And there's the thing about can't play in the cold, but all these guys have at some point in time played in cold weather in college or in the pros. Like, they know how to do it. I just think that it was a lack of focus. Maybe they did need to get up there and practice more, like throwing a hard ball and catching it, because obviously their practices weren't in cold weather leading up to it. And so I think that might be a clue, like, hey, if you're a warm weather team, try to get to the facilities sooner in that cold weather place, or find a place to go where it's cold and practice chucking a cold deal, practice kicking a cold ball, things like that. So, yeah, it was unfortunate to see. Poor Miami. They're going to give it another shot, I'm sure, again next year. Maybe it seems to me, though, the only way Miami has a chance is for that home field advantage, because they don't seem ready to. Well, and really, I don't know if that would even work, because when you look at their season, every time they competed against a playoff team, aside from the Cowboys, because they also have the same Achilles, that they can't compete against it.
Yeah.
So, and I think that was a fairly close game, actually.
One win over against a team that was over 500.
So, yeah, they're going to have to go to the drawing board. Mike McDaniel's still a young coach, still figuring it out. Still a fairly young team. So, hopefully, they work on it. But Kansas City, they pulled it together. Rice had a pretty good game.
Oh, great game. 138 receiving yards as a rookie.
In a really cold day, so that's a big stand-up. So maybe he's coming into form. It'll be curious to see what happens in Buffalo. Of course, Buffalo had a big win against the Steelers. Josh Allen kind of rolled out like Josh Allen does, having some huge runs, big throws.
Doesn't impress me, man. TJ Watt was
I'm talking about last week,
Mason
man.
Rudolph
I'm talking about last
terrible.
week. Well, and I mean, we can say that, but that probably has a little bit to do with the team, because the Ravens were trying to stop Rudolph the week before that. Cincinnati was playing him hard. For a backup, he was doing pretty good. Yeah, it was an easier win for him. They had an easier path, but the Steelers are a bona fide team. I mean, Tomlin always has them ready to play. I don't know what the fans are clamoring about right now.
Because this man
it's
always
ridiculous.
This man always goes.
Oh
over
no,
500.
he's always in the playoffs. Let's get rid of him. All right, I hope you guys get what you're asking for and get it deservedly. You're gonna have a decade of disaster.
Well,
because you ain't got a quarterback to lead the team, and you're about to get rid of the one guy that keeps you winning.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, I have to take the statement and just say that Flipper didn't make it back south. He froze.
He didn't swim up the Mississippi for this one.
Not this one. So I'm sorry, Flipper. You know what I'm saying? Hope you're doing well. Here's the thing. What made me question after the show was over, I went back to look at the notes, and I said, this is a Miami team that struggled against the Ravens. The Ravens did what they did to them, and I said, okay, I thought that the run game could have been established in Kansas City. I thought, okay, these guys got this. But Kansas City proved, hey, we're not intimidated, and that's what it is. So now, Driz, I'm going to hand it off to you. This is it. Josh Allen, for the third time, will meet Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. I know who you're going to pick, but let's go ahead and hear your insights.
I'm picking the Chiefs, baby. You know, it doesn't matter. This is Patrick Mahomes' first game, not at home in the playoffs. So we'll see how he adjusts to being away. And not only that, being at a top rival that we play every single year, man. So, but we're going to win, and we're going to win because our defense is too good. Like, if our offense struggles, our defense always picks it up. And this time it's going to be different. There's not going to be any offsides. We're going to get that out of the way. There's not going to be. So, listen, L'Jarius Sneed held. Let's look at the stats of last game. Stephon Diggs only had 4 catches for 24 yards last game. Their main target for receiving and running the ball was James Cook. So, it's going to be the same thing this week. Same thing. They're going to rely on James Cook. The receiver's going to get shut out because McDuffie and Sneed are just too good. And this week we're going to rely on our defense, and our offense is going to overcome, and we are going to win by a field goal or more. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take Buffalo on this one. I will say they for sure lucked out last time against the Chiefs on Kadarius Toney just being offsides.
Mm-hmm.
But Buffalo, they've been just playing great all through the end of the season. Josh Allen has looked like Josh Allen. Stephon Diggs hasn't been doing a ton, but Shakir and James Cook, they've both stepped it up so much. Shakir had an amazing touchdown last week, and their defense has been playing pretty well. I'm going to take Buffalo.
Since the loss to the Eagles, Buffalo, I think, is undefeated since then. And they did beat the Chiefs earlier this year in Kansas City. In that pass, or especially that big play, was the big significant thing. I'm quite certain after Patrick Mahomes' reaction to that and the rest of the teams, they have not forgotten that play, and they're going to prove that it was a one-off, that they can beat them. I think that their experience and the pressure that Buffalo has it almost feels like we're back in the late 80s, early 90s, and this is Buffalo's fourth chance at a Super Bowl. Can they finally get it? No.
Yeah.
Crumble under the pressure. Sorry. I've got the Chiefs on this one. As the underdog in the game, it'd be a bet I would take.
My heart goes out to Buffalo.
By the way, I don't want to pick the Chiefs. I just think they're going to win.
My heart wants
It
to go
is
out
my
to Buffalo. But my pocket, my money, my reputation's on the line here. This is a deal. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs know how to play against Buffalo. Driston said a great point, and I'm not gonna take his thunder because he said a critical thing. Josh Allen, the gang knows. Stephon Diggs has been there and done that. It's that he probably is having nightmares as we speak. He's having night sweats, thinking, I've been there. I'm so close. Dealing with it in Minnesota. He had to deal with it in Buffalo. And it's like, I'm so close. The thing is this is a battle-tested team of the Chiefs. They've been there and done that. They already know what they need to do. And these guys, it's in the moment. Now, we understand that Josh Allen has this kind of maverick attitude. Mm-hmm. He's trying to make things happen. Hey, just come up with the game plan. You guys had additions adding Leonard Fournette. You've got Kincaid that have stepped up as well. This is going to be a game at home. You finally got what you wished for, according what I'm saying it verbatim. What Chris said here. You guys need this win. You must win. And the thing is that right now, what's riding on the line is that Kansas City is not afraid of you guys. You're not afraid of them. You guys are just going to have to duke it out. So this is going to be the last time I root for you. If you do me wrong, I'm never, ever again going to sit here and say, Buffalo this, Buffalo that. I'm going to choose you, Buffalo. Bills Mafia, it's time to rise. It's time. The ghost of Coach and then Thurman Thomas, all the gang from the 90s need to just be there. And Jim Kelly going to be over there as well. But here's the deal. I will say it will be a tough fight.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is going to – I'm going to call it out. It's going to take a toll on everybody on that team because it's just the battle of the wills. Coach Spagnuolo knows how to draw up against Josh Allen. Josh Allen will get his reps and he will get his touches and everything. But the thing is can you get Patrick Mahomes off the field? If you can do that, you won. But if the longer you're able to keep him on the field, the more you give Patrick Mahomes the drive to win. So it's going to be a close game. Like I said, he knows there's no love here for the Chiefs, but I respect the Chiefs because this is the time now where this is the most dangerous team in this playoff system. So Buffalo, I'm going to root for you one more time, but that is it. So shout out to all our Buffalo fans.
I will say, if we get a playoff game like we did a couple years ago in the divisional round when it came to overtime, that'd be a great game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be one of those games. It's going to be super tight, come to the last drive, man. So,
all right. Next up, let's go ahead and move on over to the Green Bay Packers defeating America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Go Pack, go. They are heading to the Gold Rush to visit the number 1 seed, the San Francisco 49ers. All right, let's go ahead and dive into how the Packers got there. What did you think about that Dallas and Packers game, Driz?
I loved it, bro. Script writers went crazy because every single year they make Dallas get embarrassed in the playoffs. And this year was no different, man. They got embarrassed. Offensively, couldn't do nothing. Defensively, they couldn't stop the Packers. Jordan Love is reincarnated Brett Favre again. Packers just have a way of finding Hall of Fame QBs because he looked phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the passes he was throwing he looked great. All right, Jordan Love is phenomenal, and his receivers have stepped up. Christian Watson, of course, did his thing, but Romeo Doubs, bro, he had a
Amazing.
heck of a game. Yeah. So offensively, they were on all cylinders. They did great. Defensively, phenomenal as well, man.
Mm-hmm.
They held up. Dak couldn't get anything going when he tried throwing the ball. It was a pick six or a pick or whatever. So they did a good job of keeping Dak off the field and keeping their offense just scoring points. It was phenomenal. So good job, Packers, and this was expected of the Cowboys, honestly, bro.
Yeah, Cowboys, they just lose in the playoffs. It's what they do.
True.
But shout out just Green Bay. They played amazing against still a good Cowboys team. I mean, Jordan Love, he was just playing so well. And Romeo Doubs, like Tristan said, they both were just going off that game.
Well, and the weird thing to me was you look at Dak and CD from during the season, they were on fire all season and they could not hit it all. Dak was totally telegraphing his passes into CD, super forcing it.
Oh yeah, 100%. You didn't know what he's throwing.
As soon as you stepped away and started going to gallop and stuff, you're hitting passes.
Yeah.
Why are you going to try to? And then you force it in and it's a pick.
Yeah.
It was wild. But that's also to say, Green Bay, I think, also had a really good game plan. Jordan Love is looking really, so much better than he did early in the year.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think the Packers, of course, I think that was, the understated bet. I think Cowboys always get a good betting line because they have so many fans, which they do. But it seemed like everyone was the favorite's the Cowboys, but we think the Packers are going to win because they're the Cowboys, and that's not how it goes. So we'll see what happens with the Cowboys. Obviously, they have a talented team. They need to fix their front office a little bit, I think, is what everyone would probably agree on. But for the Packers moving forward, this is definitely playing with house money. You got a youngest team in the NFL by average age. And so these kids are just hey, let's have fun. So I think they're going to be a little bit dangerous coming up for some of the teams they're going to be facing.
All right, since you said it, let's go ahead and dive it in. They're going to San Francisco. Driz, who are you taking?
This is a tough one. This is tough for me. I don't know why it's tough. I'm gonna say San Francisco just because, despite how Green Bay played, San Francisco is still the top dog. They had a week off to rest, and an extra week to game plan who they would be playing. So, with all the playmakers they have defensively and offensively, and what we've seen throughout the year, I have to pick San Francisco. But I will say, I think Green Bay, they're going to put up a heck of a fight, man. I think it's going to be really close, and it's going to be a lot closer than people think, like maybe even scary, just because I do think Green Bay's offense is going to really test that San Fran defense, man, and they're going to put up some numbers. So I actually see this being kind of a shootout, and both offenses are going to go crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take the Niners. They just played phenomenal all season. They only lost one game with a healthy Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey and still number one seed, and they've got probably the best overall team. They've got Brock Purdy, Debo, CMC, Trent Williams. Like, they've really got a big star just in every spot on the field. Debo Samuel's one of the people that it's like almost impossible to tackle when he gets going. I'm gonna have to take the Niners.
That's curious. So we have the thing going on with, which also to think about a little bit that I'm thinking about at least is the last time the Packers won the Super Bowl. I believe they were a wild card team led by Aaron Rodgers. So I don't know. Maybe there's a little destiny with Packers wild cards. Maybe just to mix it up. I'm not sure. Right now, the spread, by the way, is currently 9.5 points for Niners.
That's too big. I
agree. I would take the bet for sure on Green Bay keeping it closer than that. I'm actually going to pick Green Bay. I think there's going to be some rust with. I really do think that is a thing with the bye week teams, especially if they've sat the week or two before that as well, which the Niners did. They sat week 18, and then they obviously were out last week on bye. I think there is some rust that might give the chance for the Packers to get a little lead built up in the early goings before the team's really moving. And so I'm going to go with the Pack. I think they pull a big upset here.
I can see that happening, bro.
Those are good points. What I was thinking while you guys were talking, the 49ers know very well, especially with their spread out offense, they're going to have, Christian McCaffrey run the ball, which the Packers know very well. That's something that Dallas struggled against them, that Green Bay was able to shut down the Dallas's run game. Now, on the tight end, we saw that Ferguson was able to score on them, but it was kind of too little too late. But George Kittle was a different beast. Also, you got Brandon Ayuk on one side. You got Debo on the other. I mean, you've got weapons that are ready to go. And then Brock Purdy, I feel, is a better game manager than Dak in a sense. I'll give him the slight edge. Mm-hmm. And you don't think that they forgot last year how close they were? This is their year. And I'm telling you, this is their year that they want to go back and solidify, say, hey, we deserve to be there. I'm going to say it like this. I think this game might go to overtime. Mm-hmm. If it goes to overtime.
If it's overtime, I could see
the 49ers are going to try to run that clock. And then, like I said, with the new rules are going. But I think Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle are going to have they're going to have a great game. I think these
my
two
win pick is placed upon the fact that I think the Packers will start fast and hopefully be able to hold that.
Okay. Well, man, and if that defense can get in Brock Purdy's head, that's a game over, bro.
This is before your time, Driz, because besides Everett being youngsters here, hey, Chris, let's go down memory lane. Who remembers in the 90s when Brett Favre and Steve Young used to go at it?
All the time, yeah.
I remember it was always, if it wasn't Dallas who they were going to meet, them two would duke it out. Mm-hmm. I remember one game where Terrell Owens got the game-winning touchdown. And then I remember Brett Favre torching the 49ers. I mean, this is a great rivalry. I mean, the thing is that San Francisco fans, they're going to be packed. They're going to be hyped, ready. And I know the Packers are just happy to be there. So if they don't win, I'm telling you, Green Bay's going to be the team that's going to be in the Mercs in the NFC. So, all right, let's go ahead and lead on to the last game. We have the Houston Texans saddling up, going to Baltimore to face off the Dirty Birds of the Baltimore Ravens. So we see the Texans demolish the dog pound.
Oh, yeah.
Nowhere to be seen. They sent packing back. Driz, tell me a little bit about how Houston got there.
Firstly, Houston had a great defensive game. Joe Flacco, insanity run. He had a little
Looked like
insanity run.
30-something old,
Yeah.
almost 40-year-old.
I thought he was gonna go crazy. Nope, man. He looked atrocious. It was just they fell off. That defense, phenomenal play, and C.J. Stroud. My God, can he play football, bro? He's so young, so talented, and good for Houston. Good for Houston to finally find another good QB. But C.J. Stroud proved he's gonna win Rookie of the Year. Offensive Rookie of the Year. And also, that defense really stepped up this week against what I thought was a good Browns team offensively until this week. So,
Yeah, C.J. Stroud, they torched it with him leading the charge. Their defense didn't look like they knew what they were going to do against just a phenomenal young quarterback that they didn't expect to have this much talent. Because last time they played the Texans, they didn't have C.J. Stroud. They didn't know how good C.J. Stroud was. And then, like Tristan said, the defense of the Texans just played great against Joe Flacco. Just the old guy who I don't think knew what was happening against a young Houston team.
Well, and the talk going in was all about the Browns defense this, the Browns defense that. They have a great defense. Yes, that's very true. But hey, Texans has a pretty dang good defense too, with a very, very good defensive-minded coach who played defense for that defense at one point in time. So they came out, they pretty much headbutted directly with the defense, the two defenses going out at who's the stronger defense, and they came out way on top. Picks, could have been 2 pick sixes, was only 1, but pick after pick, getting after the quarterback so much harder. And hey, look, the Browns were getting after. I mean, they were making C.J. Stroud's life horrible. Like, they were in his face on every throw. Some of the big shots he took, he was getting hit as he was throwing it, which goes to the really big arm that he has, and the vision that he has, the focus downfield. I think that C.J. Stroud really, and the Texans just won that game. They went out, they performed better in all phases of the game. They said, hey, we know this is a great defense, but we're a great defense too. Let's show you, and they did.
All right, well, that being said, they're going to face another AFC North rival. Tristan, I'm going to give this to you. Who you taking?
I think it's going to be a tough game. The spread is 9 points for Baltimore, which I think is a crazy – like, these spreads are kind of crazy to me. So I think it's going to be a close game. I do think it's going to be closer to 9 points, maybe a field goal. This is tough for me, bro. Lamar's been playing great all year. I think he's an MVP candidate. Maybe we'll win the MVP this year. And defensively, offensively, they're great. But I also believe Houston, their defense has played really well. I can see their defense playing well. I'm going to pick the upset. I'm picking Houston because we're going back to Arrowhead for the AFC Championship for the 6th year in a row.
Probably.
Yep. And but I see it a big upset in this one because simply because CJ Stroud's phenomenal. They got such a young team, young talented roster, and offensively, I think they're going to get the ball rolling and not look back, man. But with that being said, I'm going to respect the Ravens because the Ravens are a great team, and I don't think they're going to make it easy. So.
Yeah, the Ravens just so good. They've been playing well all year. Lamar Jackson, OBJ, they've been doing great. Zay Flowers, I mean, he's a candidate. He'll be a candidate for Rookie of the Year. We all know he's not going to get it, but he'll be up there. But C.J. Stroud, I've been saying this week after week, he is magical. This is going to come down to the wire for sure. I think it's going to come down to a critical mistake by Lamar Jackson trying to force it in somewhere, and the Texans are going to get a pick and get down the field with C.J. Stroud, and he's going to score another game-winning touchdown for the end of the game.
So I kind of said this once with the Niners. I'm going to say it again. I'm not a fan of sitting in Week 18 completely when you have the bye the next week. I get, hey, we don't want to get our guys injured before playoffs, but I think you got to treat it more like a preseason, late preseason game. Like, hey, suit up. We're going to get you in, get you a quarter's worth of work just so you get your rhythm. Still have that play. Now you've got that playoff feel if you can. I think that the Ravens could have probably beat the Steelers had they done that in the last week of the season. because it was a close game with Lamar, with all the starters basically sitting for the Steelers. Looking back to earlier in the season, the Ravens did take a pretty good beating on the Texans, beat them 25-9. That was in Baltimore, where this one's going to be. Obviously, September, probably quite a bit better conditions. Although I thought maybe that was a rain game. I don't recall anymore. It's been a few months. I think it's going to be closer. Man, I really, really want to pick the Texans. I think that they can do this. I am a little hesitant because, man, the Ravens they don't put everything on their quarter. Like, they don't count their quarterback as everything. They can beat you in the one of the few teams that have regularly beat teams throughout John Harbaugh's history there with special teams. Regularly, every year they're winning a game or two with a special teams play, typically a return. Because he was actually Andy Reid's special teams coach at the Eagles way back in the day before he got the hire here. All that to say, back and forth. I think I'll take the favorite. I don't think they're going to win by that 9 or whatever point spread.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I do think the Ravens are going to win this, and everyone's going to have to go visit there to get any further. So, not to say Kansas City couldn't win them there. That we'll have to look at that next week if it gets there. But I think I'm going to go the Ravens.
This all comes down to, again, during preseason when we were here in the heat. We remember that. No contract signed.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. This is why Lamar is where he's at right now. The team is rallying behind him. OBJ knew coming to Baltimore there was something special here, and we have Zay Flowers as well. And now that the run game, now you got Gus Edwards, you got Melvin helping out a little bit,
Hill.
and then Justice Hill right now. This team is ready to be where they need to be. Now, Lamar, just like I said, Lamar, don't get too excited because you know you struggled during the playoffs. The path is clear. Vegas is just right there. It's not far. You got this. And for you guys who may not know, did you know in both Super Bowl seasons, they were wild cards. They don't know what it's like. They don't know what it's like to host a game at home. So now they get to host. It's kind of like, what'd that be like? And so this is it. And I feel Baltimore, this is going to be a good test for them. This is going to be a great opportunity to them to see how offensively they're going to attack. Because remember, that game was pretty scary against the Rams. The Rams did a great job against Baltimore. Mm-hmm. And so if they're going to play against high-octane offenses like how they demolished the 49ers, how they beat the Seahawks, how they beat the Lions, the Dolphins, how can you not be scared of Baltimore? That is scary.
They beat them.
So this is Baltimore. I feel Baltimore will represent. I'm going to call it out right now. I think they will represent the AFC into the Super Bowl. But for now, I'm going to take Baltimore in this game. All right. So after this was done, real quick, little recap. Who do you feel right now? Because it can change every week. But for now, who do you have representing in the AFC Championship?
Chiefs. I am being a little biased when I do say that, but I'm going to pick Chiefs. I have faith in them.
Chiefs versus who? Championship.
Oh, Chiefs versus who do I think would it? Niners. It's gonna be a Super Bowl 54 rematch. Same outcome.
AFC Championship, Tris.
Well, he picked the Texans, so he thinks.
So Texans and Chiefs.
Oh, Texans and Chiefs. Yes.
Okay.
Texans and Bills.
I've got the Ravens and Chiefs.
I got the Ravens and Bills. Moving on over to the NFC. Who do you got, Tris?
I got the Niners and.
Did you pick the Bucks or the Lions?
I picked the Bucks, but I feel like I could go either way. But I'll stick with it and just say Niners and Bucks. Yeah.
Niners and Lions.
I have the Packers and Lions.
Ooh, that's a nice one. Can you imagine that? And
okay,
who's
fun.
ready to go?
Ooh, yeah, I didn't even think of that'd be an NFC North.
That would be the third time they face each other.
Well, and conference.
When the last Super Bowl the Packers went, did you know when they went to the Super Bowl, who did they face? Their arch rival, the Chicago Bears. They went to Soldier Field. Aaron Rodgers beat them at Soldier Field to go to the Super Bowl and win.
Is that back when they had like Gus Frerotte or whatever?
Who remembers B.J. Raji? Remember Raji?
Oh yeah.
You remember
For the
BJ Raji?
Packers?
Yeah.
He was the big nose
Big
tackle
guy.
or whatever.
Driz is lost.
I
He's
don't
lost. It's okay. It's okay, Driz. It's all right.
I was a tweet little toddler at that time.
Yeah. Remember Discount Double Check? He would have when they won the Super Bowl. Him, Clay
Sure.
Matthews, AJ Hawk, and those guys. But anyway, so I'm going to take Niners and Lions. Niners and Lions. I think that'd be a great scheme that's going on. But the next week, when we have our show, we will talk about who we got for the Super Bowl. So stay tuned, you guys. We're going to, like I said, we're going to go live stream for the Super Bowl show. We're going to be on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all open live, Mike. No editing, no nothing. It's just going to be straight talk football. So bring your energy drinks, bring your enthusiasm, bring your bravado, bring it all. Because like I said, this is going to be great. We're finally getting closer to the Super Bowl. Any shout-outs before we go, Driz?
Man, shout out to you guys. It's fun coming out here talking sports.
Yeah, shout out to you guys for sports, and shout out to my friend Deacon at school if I can get him to watch this. Big Texans fan there, and I still completely believe in the Texans for the Super Bowl.
Just shout out to everyone that's listening. Thank you guys.
Thanks to everybody that contributes. Thank you, you guys. I mean, that means a lot that you guys are out here talking sports. It's a good way to get away from the outside world and just talk about sports. Thanks to the guys behind the scenes, as always. I appreciate you guys. Also to the staff as well. Thanks for helping out, making it possible. These are, give a special shout out to Eric that helps us out with the audio, and also Powell. Thank you for the editing. Dalen Designs, Adobe Designs helped me for getting this creative out. And thanks to all you guys that tune in. All right, you guys, like I said, we're going to have our giveaways coming up, so stay tuned to the next episode.